Hi, Filter here. I'm back. It's morning. Well, actually, it's 2:26 in the afternoon. I'm losing track of time around here. Then again, it doesn't help if I'm having a beer. Oh, great! Now I'm looking like Elizabeth Warren doing that. Ugh. So, anyways, I'm back. Get a few things off my chest. A few items. My last video, I talked about Comicsgate and where it might be going. And I mentioned egos getting in the way. That might be the thing. But like I said, compared to Gamergate, the real difference is that we, the consumer, can actually produce our own. We could write our own. We could find a guy who's an artist or a gal who's an artist and produce our own stuff. That's the major difference. You may love Ethan Van Sciver, you may hate him for his ego or whatever. That doesn't really matter. I'm hoping that maybe there's a dialogue between the Comic Book Hut and Ethan Van Sciver to kind of settle this. Granted, I understand he did some stupid song on there. I didn't hear it, but I understand it's not exactly child friendly. But I would love to see a sort of discussion between Comic Book Hut, that umbrella guy, Ethan Van Sciver, or maybe even just some guy, and your boy Zach. I would love to see some dialogue to kind of clarify things, and hopefully nobody out there, even toss in Cecil, just to clarify stuff. I would like for there to be a unified front. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know. It's up to everybody on this end. One of the other things that I like to talk about is something I've now seen again, where they keep talking about where are her organs. Apparently, J. Scott Campbell did a maquette or a statue of Captain Marvel, making her more bosomy and bottomy than previous iterations drawn. That's his style. He draws women like that. Hell, he draws men pretty damn good. I'll give you an example. Here's some J. Scott Campbell art. Bear with me, kids. If I can find it. Where the hell did I put it? Ah, here we go. I photocopied this page, and I don't know if you can see it clearly. Yeah, I basically went to one of the Comics Pros thing. I mean, a lot of people keep complaining about the way the women look, but nobody talks about the men. Think about that. Same people who bitch about that. See, guys don't sit around complaining about the physique of men. You know what happens when a guy sees another guy who's built and buff? They go, damn, that guy's buff. Shoot, maybe I gotta work out. That's a guy's mindset. Women, it's a whole different ballgame for some weird reason. And I don't know, that's just weird. At least to me, because I'm a guy. I don't think like a woman. I don't pretend to understand women. I get a general idea of what women think and what they want, but that's the way it stands. But apparently they don't like the way this woman's physique looks. And the old where are her organs statement keeps popping up. But here's the funny thing about that. I have in previous videos pointed out that there are women who do have that physique. Again, if you live on the West Coast and you're on the beach in California or Venice Beach, tell me you haven't seen women with a physique that looks like something from a comic book. Or any beach in Florida. Or go to some of the beaches in Europe. Tell me you haven't seen that. Go to places like Aruba, Spain, or someplace. And if you're on the beach and you see some woman in a bikini and stuff, look at her physique and then think to yourself, you're not going to sit there honestly and go, where are her organs? This is try saying that 3 times drunk. Yeah. And I also want to point out something, and I want you to really consider this. There is a cosplayer, 2 cosplayers. One is generally a cosplayer. One was in Playboy, is really kind of a Playboy model, and she's got her own channel. But the first one I'm going to talk about is Angie Knight. If you've ever seen her, Angie Knight has a gorgeous physique. We're talking almost comic book type physique. And if you look on Instagram, when you want to look at women cosplaying as Spider Girl, and yeah, another one. Her name is November Cosplay, or Jackie Goiner or Greener. I have open. You probably seen her on that one cosplay show recently, like last year on Sci-Fi Channel. She was actually contestant, but she goes around dressed as Deja Thoris. She was and Witchblade, original thing with Witchblade, but she like lost even more weight, even though she had a great physique. Doing the Witchblade thing, she lost even more weight, and she walks around as Deja Thoris in a costume that leaves little to the imagination. Then you've got, like I said, Angie Knight. Then there's another young woman named Holly Wolf. Now I've seen all three of these women, and I keep thinking to myself, okay, they're pretty. They know their crap. They like to dress up. They like to do. They're having fun. As long as they're having fun, nobody's getting hurt. Everybody. That's it. That's all I care about. And no man looking at what these women look like are going, where are her organs? Hell, I can look at Rihanna right now. I'm not going to complain about where her organs are. All right. Some women have that physique. Deal with it. But at the end of the day, it seems like there are a lot of women who are bringing this up because they have a self-esteem problem, at least in my opinion. They have a self-esteem problem, and I think it's ridiculous to kind of take it out on somebody who likes to draw women. Yeah, maybe it's his ideal of a woman. Doesn't matter. He might be married to or dating or married to some woman who has the physique of Adele. Really curvy Adele. Doesn't matter. Hell, my girlfriend's on the portly side. All she complains about is, why are her boobs big? Well, gee, because boobs. I mean, they're out to Albuquerque. I mean, but she's not losing sleep over it because her boobs aren't that. Well, let's not get personal, okay? But you get. I think you get what I'm talking about. One of the things that they teach you is when you try to do comic art is just to get the physique right. Now, superheroes should not look like I'm sorry. Superheroes are not supposed to look like the ordinary person. All right. A superhero should not be some really lanky guy or some morbidly obese dude fighting crime. That just doesn't look right. Granted, Steve Ditko did draw Spider-Man as a 16-year-old lanky kid. It was subsequently later he decided to add that tone and muscle, and John Romita knocked it out of the park with that. Same thing with the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. He was drawn as a sort of skinny, lanky kid because, after all, he got his powers when he was a teenager. And later, and even then, and during the John Byrne era, he didn't draw him super muscular, massive. He drew him as damn near ordinary, but that didn't take away from the heroics. He added some definition, but he didn't draw him like super buff, but he didn't draw him super skinny. He just did it. I guess it was the posture. He made him look more heroic. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're not going to see a guy who's portly fighting crime. I mean, very few. Very few people could pull it off doing a comic book like that, or a movie or a TV show, something like that. Unless you look at that show Super, and even then, that's a whole different ballgame. So I just want to put that out there. Next, from what I understand, Doctor Who is going to be taking a bit of a different turn these days because I think what had happened was somebody said, you better listen to the viewers. We're losing viewership. You have to show us the Doctor, not give us constant political commentary. I mean, this is what happens when you hire playwrights and activists and poets to write science fiction. Okay? You wind up with that season where it was like, and most of it was just it just seemed off. Again, I could have done the thing with the Rosa episode. The Rosa episode, I believe, had the best potential. And I'll tell you my pitch if I was in charge. I would say instead of having Kraskow, the future space racist, I would have had him as a sort of guy like Captain Jack, where he likes to get historical items and sell them in the future to his history buffs. And it's because what he does, he winds up screwing things up, and with the help of the Doctor and friends, they get to straighten things out. He even wins by getting something that's somewhat important. Maybe the bus driver's cap. That told her to sit in the back of the, to give up her seat. Something like that, where he kind of, he loses trying to get one thing from Rosa Parks, but he kind of wins by getting this other thing. He says, well, I'm not going to get much money, but okay, no big deal. All right. Something like that. That had the best potential, and yet it was totally screwed up. The actress that got to play Rosa Parks, I thought was very good. I thought she was very good. But some of the other dialogue in there, I was like, it's just a little too much. Now, let's talk about the elephant on the Star Destroyer. Star Wars. I was going over some videos about Star Wars lore, and I literally thought that J.J. Abrams, if he would have just sat down and talked to somebody, Kevin Smith maybe, and said, okay, this is what I want to do, how can we do it? I would have done it completely different. I want you to consider this. Do you realize that 3 or 4 lines of dialogue would have totally changed Rey? Think about it. 3 or 4 lines of dialogue. That's all you needed, and Rey wouldn't come across as a Mary Sue. She would not have come across as a Mary Sue. For instance, first of all, I would get rid of, if I had to do this whole thing for Star Wars, this new thing, I'd get rid of the First Order. I'd have the remnant of the Empire. And again, in the previous video I mentioned, I would have Finn as a adjutant to talk to people of the New Republic. Then I'd have Kylo Ren. First of all, Kylo Ren wouldn't even be related to the Skywalkers. I would have that. We could still have Han Solo show up. We could still have Luke. We could still have Princess Leia, Chewbacca. I would just basically say that Kylo Ren, you could still have Adam Driver, because Adam Driver could have actually done better with a better script, I honestly think. And I would have had him as a Jedi. He's also he's with the New Republic. They're going to meet Finn, who's part of, and I would have named him Finn. Not FN, whatever number that he was. I would have named him Finn, or Lieutenant Finn, or Ensign Finn. Because at some point, the Remnant discovers that there are ships disappearing near certain regions of space. They go to coordinate with the New Republic, and they discover, ships seem to be going missing in this place. And the Jedi would say, that's odd about this area. We need to go talk to somebody who might know about this area. That's where they try to find Luke Skywalker. And we discover that Luke Skywalker is on sabbatical because he's mourning the death of Mara Jade. He just needs that alone time to decompress, and also from teaching Jedi. That would be the setup. And you can introduce Luke at the end. The big bad in this, I would use Snoke, but how would I use Snoke? Snoke would be a thrall of, wait for it, it's coming, here it is, Abeloth. Think about it. Abeloth is, I think, trapped in some region of space, and she's been capturing these ships to build her own little empire. And along the way, with our heroes, we have Poe, Finn, and Kylo. Or you could even have him as call him Jake. Call him Jake Solo. The reason why, call him Jake Solo, he's just another kid from the thing, a Jedi. and he's making his way. They all have to find out, get to point A to point B, and then Abeloth's ships shoot them down. They crash, and they're like trying to, and they're like, oh great, we're a bunch of clicks away from the settlement over here. So they get themselves a walking. BB-8 goes out to scout to make sure everything's all right. Now we introduce Ray. Now Ray, we could have it where she's scavenging and all this other stuff, and then she gets back. And first of all, the guy who's supposed to have been her guardian or the guy taking care of, I would have had him a little bit more like a Uncle Owen. I mean, JJ, if you're going to copy this shit, I would have at least done that. I would have him more like an Uncle Owen type, but it's sort of in a reverse sort of way, where she comes in with the stuff and he says, and he starts, she starts breaking out the stuff that she's found. He says, and this again, just a couple of lines to give us an idea that maybe she knows the Force, where she goes something to the effect of, you're one of the best scavengers I got. You're the only one who's lucky enough to find all the really good stuff. That would let us in on a clue. And then another line would be like, oh, by the way, your test scores came in. You passed your flight test. You're a pilot. And they could, and again, that would just establish a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff that it would just cover, the luck part. It would be like, okay, she might be Force sensitive. And then the whole thing about flying a ship. Oh, okay, she knows how to fly a ship. It says, hey, and then he says, hey, look, if you want, I got my clunker over there. Get out in the galaxy. Find your parents if you have to, but don't stay here. There's the whole galaxy out there for you. Something like that. Instead of Uncle Owen wanting to keep Luke on the farm, this guy is saying, hey, get out there. Live. Live for yourself. See the galaxy. Do things. Have fun. That would establish something. Then, what happens is, our trio, Finn, Poe, and Kylo, or Jake, make their way to the settlement. And at this point, Jake goes, this girl, I think she's Force sensitive. And they're like, oh, okay, well, you deal with that. BB-8 is there and stuff like that. Then Abeloth's forces attack, trying to get them. They have to meet up with Rey. They get to know each other, and then they try to escape, and they try to get to the one ship. And then, as soon as they get there, we find out that it's a Millennium Falcon, or at least a Corellian freighter. And then they do that. And another thing, making Han Solo a deadbeat dad? No. How about he's earning an honest living because he did have that big freighter? You remember? He had the big freighter. He's just doing an honest living. So they get in their ship. Ship gets a little damage. Han Solo picks him up. And as they're talking, he says, look, I could take you. And, Jake says, Jake Solo, or whatever, says, General Solo, or Dad, something. He says, yeah, I was doing a freight run. What are you doing in this ship? Looks like my old ship, something like that. It gives us some context. And then we can say, all right, this is how we expand this universe, okay? This is how, now we have something that makes a whole lot of sense. We don't need Starkiller Base, at least not exactly. We could have where Abeloth has established something, a super weapon. She plans on using it, but she needs a couple of more key components to get that thing working. And now it's a race against time. And this can go span to the next movie. Now, in the next movie, again, first we think it's Snoke who's in charge, but then we reveal that Snoke is really, again, the thrall of Abeloth. And at this point, we find Luke Skywalker. And Luke Skywalker is like, damn, I thought I'd put that thing down years ago. And again, we kind of get some stuff. And then he runs into Rey, says, I think she's Force sensitive. Tries to train her just in case. Now, this time, Abeloth's forces attack and damn nearly wipe out the Jedi on The planet where Luke drank the sea monster's milk. Ugh. Well, anyways, they almost get decimated, and what we find is that there are like maybe 3 dozen or 4 dozen Jedi left because a good amount of them were here. The rest are kind of scattered throughout the galaxy trying to piece things together. You could even introduce Rose Tico. Maybe not so much as a Jedi. Well, actually, maybe you could have introduced her as a Jedi. Or sort of, she's low in the Force, but she hands, she hands Rey her lightsaber, and, they all escape. They make their way. I mean, again, so much could have been done with this series, this trilogy, and it was completely ruined. Why? I don't know. I kind of figured it out. Why Rian Johnson was there? I think I think Kathleen Kennedy owed him money, and he said, "You better give me my money," or, and she said, "Well, how about you do a movie?" Hmm. That's my only explanation. I really don't know. I'm sorry. If I was going to get any director to do that sequel, I would have begged Kevin Smith to do it. At least Kevin Smith is a fan. And if he couldn't do that, I would at least get Jonathan Frakes. He's a pretty damn good director. I don't see why not. He's done a couple of feature-length films. But, alas. And then when we get to the last movie, we find out that, yes, Rey is a Palpatine. And this would be just totally off the hook. Off the chain. And at this point, we could also say that Luke adopts Rey as a part of the family. He finds out, oh, great, you're a Palpatine. But this will be the twist. We could introduce Palpatine because maybe his soul, once it went up in flames and energy on the Death Star, was captured by Abeloth. And as a sort of redemption arc, even for Palpatine, sees Luke Skywalker and says, please don't let my granddaughter fall. Don't let her go this way. Don't let her go to the dark side. And he says, I don't want this. And Luke does a mercy killing with his lightsaber on his spirit to release him from the grip of Abeloth. And then we have the big battle with Abeloth. I think that would have worked. But alas, it's a dream of mine. Well, tell me what you think. Like this video? Hit the bell for notification. And also, let's see. They say the YouTube algorithm is kind of wonky because they're doing all types of stuff because they don't want kids to see whatever, blah, 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 blah. You get the picture. But I hope... I'm looking forward to some more dialogue between us. So until then... boy. This gives you gas. I didn't realize that. And I'm still drinking it. But until then, until next time, I'm Filter. I'm out.